Hey guys, we're on day 3, cycle 2, Uberman sleep. I'm Benzie, and this is my friend Clara. I feel like I look extra cool right now. I got my stepdad shirt on. My hair's all puppy. You look cute and curly. Could hold you like a little egg. Thanks. that sounds nice to me. I like that. I feel so. Last session we watched musicals and it was really fun.
Oh my gosh, we watched Legally Blonde the musical and it saved me.
Clara had never seen it before. It was so fun to show her.
Well, and I woke up from that nap and I was just like, uh-oh. Like, there's like nothing I can do right now. I'm a goner. I was just like sitting on the couch just like, how am I gonna, I can't think of anything. And then you put on that musical and then I just like sang along for an hour and a half and that was perfect. Prince of Egypt isn't going as well because the lyrics, because I don't know the songs as well, and the lyrics aren't. Anyway, it's going.
Also, Prince of Egypt has like 5 songs, and Legally Blonde is like
constant songs.
Yeah,
and they're like musical and like peppy girl songs, and this is like,
let my people go.
Yeah, it was maybe not the most choice. I'm enjoying it, but I'm missing like seconds because it's hard to.
Yeah, you seem a lot sadder this time.
I'm having a lot of.
I did have 2 good cycles though. My first cycle was good. I feel pretty good this cycle. Clara commented before on how it's pretty convenient that it seems like when I'm having a really hard time is when they're having an easier time, and the same opposite. Yeah. So we seem to be flip-flopping there, which is convenient because it's easier if only one person's having a hard time than both of us. So.
Yeah, have we had a where we both were having a hard time? I don't feel like we have.
I don't know. I don't remember.
If we did, I blocked it out.
Yeah, it was too hard to drink water. Drink your water.
Oh, my face feels crazy.
Stay hydrated, Tara. But yeah, we're gonna be leaving my house in a few days.
You mean hours?
Yeah. I was thinking we're leaving at like 1 and it's 5 in the morning, so it will feel like days.
Yeah.
So yeah, this cycle, even though I have the Prince of Egypt going, I think I'm gonna really try to like buckle down and get a few things done, sand the closet, and clean the kitchen and whatnot before we get back to Clara's house. And really savor that air conditioning. So, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Well, I guess nothing really interesting. We're in, like, for me, I'm above 60 hours right now.
What?
60 hours?
Oh, of
Ubering.
Am I also?
Well, right? No, because I napped with Bara I finished my nap at 3 o'clock and you finished your nap at 5 o'clock.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, you're still in the high 50s. You're just like a baby polyphasic sleeper.
How cool is that? I feel like it. I feel like a baby polyphasic.
You're grown up.
Well, and you've done this twice before. This is my first time, and I feel like the first couple of days we were trying to have expectations about like what it was going to feel like, and now that we're embarking on day 3 and I've had 2 rough awake cycles in a row, I'm like, oh, this might be day 3 and 4. Like I might feel like this for the next 2 days.
Yeah. What is exciting is that's supposed to be the hardest though. Mm-hmm. So it's like once that's over,
yeah,
it's easy street, baby.
Yeah, something I'm finding is like the last 2 times I've woken up, I've sat on the couch and I've thought to myself like, am I never gonna go to sleep again? Just go to sleep to sleep.
Yeah.
And then I have to remind myself that like the premise of this process is that eventually it feels better.
Yeah.
Like eventually it feels great.
Yeah.
And so you no longer crave sleeping for hours at a time because 20 minutes is doing it for you. So I have to remind myself of that, like, this is the point.
Yeah.
And the bad feeling now is how my body will shift.
Yeah.
Because at this point I keep forgetting that. So, yeah.
I had a, like, strong moment of guilt of, like, oh, it was my plan to exercise, do, like, one exercise activity every cycle. And I was like, I've failed. I've completely failed. And then I was like, I'm at the beginning of the third day. So, like, if I did it all on day 1. I didn't do it very good. Well, I did, like, half day 2. So, I didn't,
You're such
like...
a slacker. You only exercised 9 times in the last 2 days.
So, like, I have lots of opportunities to do stuff. But it does, because it feels like 9 days, you know?
Yeah, but, like, how does it feel in your body? Because, like, I mean, all I've done is
3 yogis,
yoga and walking.
2 walks.
Yeah. I think that's all I've done. And I'm, like, kind of sore. I did a lot of stretching the last couple of hours, and yeah, I think exercising 6 times a day might not.
Well, I wasn't.
Might not be.
I mean, but I counted, like, doing a 4-minute dance with Fiona as exercise. You know, like.
Yes, but that wasn't your original plan.
Yeah. I still think, like, the exercise stuff I'm doing, I'm not, like.
Yeah, I like that you're counting things that weren't part of your original.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if I remember correctly, it was going to be, like, yoga twice a day, like a full yoga video. And then you did, like, this arms thing that was, like, I didn't do it, and it looked really hard.
Oh, it was really hard.
And then walks seemed pretty solid. But
yeah,
I don't
so
remember
the plan.
what the other...
Well, the plan was I would just do each of those twice a day since there's 6 waking cycles, 2 walks, 2 yoga classes, and 2 arms focused things.
Oh my god!
But but I clearly did not. Yeah. But I might keep. I think having the goal to do it means I might exercise more than I would have if I didn't have the goal. So. Yeah. Okay. That's the beginning of day 3. Guns.
Stop it.
I'm trying. Okay. It is 8:15 a.m. So that means we are on day 3, cycle 3. I am back to feeling horrible. And having a really hard time staying awake. And Claire's being a very supportive accountability buddy and making me get up.
It's been touch and go. You are a liar.
Wait, what am I lying about?
Oh, I just mean you have several times this morning said, like, I wasn't falling asleep. I was just blinking really slowly. And you're, like, so indignant. And I'm like, no. Stand up, stretch, get some water, do something. Don't blink slowly. Like, if we're not allowed to do yoga with our eyes closed, you're definitely not allowed to blink slowly.
Oh, okay.
Especially when you blinking slowly, it looks like this. Like, what? And that's one lie. So, like, you're not a liar, but, like, sleep deaf is a liar.
I'm a liar.
No, you're great. Your body is trying to survive.
How come you're not having the same problem?
I mean, I've definitely had the same problem at different times.
No, I feel like I didn't, like, wake you up, though.
Well, I've had to do a lot for myself.
Okay.
The last 2, let me look at my notes. Watching The Prince of Egypt was really tough.
Yeah.
And before we started the Legally Blonde musical, I was having a really hard time. And I, like, couldn't fathom sitting up or... what do I want to do? I want to mute it.
Why don't you just pause it by pressing the center OK button?
Oh, I thought I had ended the episode. Yeah, before you started Legally Blonde, the musical, I was like, I was sitting here and it was like, there's nothing in the world I want to do but nap.
Yeah.
And I can't move. And there's no other thing to think about. Like, there was no problem solving happening. It was just like, I was just sitting there, like, fighting it and not even convinced that I wanted to fight it.
Yeah.
And then you put on a musical, and then it was, like, funny, and I knew the plot, but also I didn't know any of the songs, and I got to sing along, so, like, you saved me. Okay. Maybe you weren't, like, waking me up actively, because I was doing a lot of that, like, really trying, but, yeah. But, I've had struggle periods, too, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, and I wish you had a strategy like this. So I'm eating these, snap peas, and I'm just eating them really slowly while watching a show is keeping me awake. Yeah. It's hard to fall asleep when you're chewing. I suppose I could probably do it in the next day or so, but so far it's been helpful.
Well, today and tomorrow is the hardest days. So, yeah. I'm not gonna ever accept a food I don't like.
I know, but I keep telling you to make different foods, and you're like, I don't like popcorn. But you have like a giant box of popcorn.
Yeah, Devin loves popcorn.
Okay, well, I don't know, but I'm just like
favorite snack.
But then I was like, make something else you like. But you like basically guacamole, sauteed onions, and steak.
Who needs more foods than that?
No, those are great foods, but you need to make them for yourself. It's just like strategies. We gotta come up with strategies.
I need grapes.
Ooh, grapes are a really good idea. Yeah.
That's when you will let me have.
Who is stopping you from eating grapes? See? Do you see what I mean?
The universe.
And we have that on camera. So, like, okay
what's stopping you from eating grapes is grapes being in different locations.
Grapes' fault.
The grapes are not near me.
No, okay, well, so we're leaving your house today, going back to my house, and there will be some kind of grocery situation there, right? Let's prioritize obtaining some grapes.
Go to the grocery store?
That was the plan, wasn't it? To stop at the grocery store? Devin was going to take us to Meijer, and you were going to go in.
Yeah.
Maybe we could ask Devin to go in instead, since you are Pablo.
But then I told Devin I didn't want that because it was Saturday, so the grocery store was going to be crazy.
That's possible.
Okay. I think I just needed to figure something else out.
Okay. Well, what are, like, other foods you like? You don't like vegetables, do you?
I like a lot of vegetables. But, food is, like, a way more stressful thing to me than it is to you.
That makes sense.
So, actually, the idea of using food to stay awake is stressing me out.
Yeah, let's go in a different direction then. That's a good tip. So then, music. We should watch some musicals. And strategize around, like, the type of musical. Because, like, Legally Blonde worked great at keeping me up. Whereas, the Prince of Egypt did not.
Yeah, I think Lemez would not be good.
No, that's a good instinct.
I love it.
Okay, I wonder if, you said you were done with Chicago, but I wonder if Chicago would be good because you could, like,
I know.
be annoyed, and it sounds like you know it really well.
The reason I'm done with it is because I was obsessed with it so much that I just did nothing but watch Chicago.
Why don't we save that in our back pocket for tomorrow if things get really bad? And I'm just going to put it on and be like, deal with it. Make a list.
I lived in Oklahoma one time, and I loved Chicago so much, and I was a childling, a middle schooler.
A childling.
And my mom helped me choreograph this really cool, but admittedly risque dance to When You're Good to Mama for Chicago, which is an amazing song. And then for the tryouts, I did it, and they said, absolutely not. That's not allowed. So then my mom, in our little, neighborhood, organized, all the neighborhood kids, and we did our own tiny neighborhood talent show so that I could do my sexy talent show dance. But like leading right back around, one of the other girls sang that lullaby song from the Prince of Egypt.
Oh,
Yeah,
full circle.
yeah. And I remember a boy did something with his RC cars, like had him do tricks and stuff.
I'm really glad we're sharing this with
It was a cute little neighborhood talent show. It was really cute.
Okay, so another thing we can do to wake you up is talk about your childhood memories.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make a list because the advice I've had for you is the advice I should give myself when I'm sleepy.
Oh.
But so now I'm making notes of the things that are working for you.
I feel like every time we play ukulele, I like that.
Oh, we can
But
keep your.
I do feel kind of insecure that you're annoyed by how bad I am at it.
Do you feel that way because of anything I've done?
Yeah.
What?
That one time when you were really tired and you were like,
oh, well, I was really tired.
Well, yeah, but you're gonna continue to be really tired.
Yeah, but like right now, for example, I'm not really tired. Okay. So I just definitely have the capacity for you to play ukulele for the benefit of the goal. Okay. Play ukulele. Yeah, well, and if it's urgent that you don't play ukulele in a moment,
yeah,
that like for my like sanity, that's not the same as me being annoyed with your ukulele playing itself.
Okay.
That's like more likely to be a sensory preference that's unrelated to like you as a person and the like morality of your skill level. Like there's no
talking on the phone with somebody.
Phone calls.
Well, video chat. I don't really want regular phone calls.
Video calls. Got it. Although talking with John was great.
Yeah, that was fun.
So a video call with John would be even better.
Heck yeah.
One idea I've had is asking you to carve an avocado pit, but I don't know if I would hand you like sharp tools right now.
Yeah, I'm scared to do it.
Yeah. I think we might have to save those for like after the adaptation starts being easier. Yeah. Oh.
Also, no, it didn't. I don't know. I feel like there's this weird thing like at your house. I think I felt a little bit more comfortable doing like non-productive being awake things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And here I feel like if I'm awake enough to not just sit here, I should do something that's on my like gotta get done list. Yeah.
I get that. That's like it's a loud voice in my head sometimes too.
Yeah, because I think that's part of it is like, okay, no, I don't feel like cleaning, so I will continue to sit on the couch even though I'm tired. And at your house, I think I have a little bit more like, oh, I can like write in my journal or you know, yeah.
Is writing in your journal a good advice?
I do like it, yeah.
I'll add that to the list.
Okay. But I still want to come back here later because I do want to do things.
Yeah, it'll be good. Well, and like everything we've done has been more than 0.
Yeah, that's true. I got a lot of laundry done, dishes and stuff.
Yeah, I think that like
I should do some more clearing of that closet. So.
Yeah, big time. Well, and I think we talked about this off camera, but I've been reframing my expectations around being productive during this time to instead of imagining it like, you know, I read this book about this lady and she got loads of stuff done and that should be what I do, to instead viewing it like, this is kind of like a bunch of sick days in a row. And sometimes on your sick days, you like have a burst of energy and you clean your kitchen, you know, or you like cook for yourself. But the most important thing is like not the chores, you know, it's the sick day. And so that's how I'm trying to view it. Yeah. You know? And so if my situation is saying watch a musical and just survive, then that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. Yeah. Because after we adapt, like that's so much extra time and so much like I don't know, it's like it's so much time. It feels like infinite time to strategize about how to trick myself into being productive
Yeah.
or getting those things done.
I do think I do think you're a little bit more of like a person who does get things done by themselves, though.
That's really nice. Mostly that's because everything I get done, I'm usually by myself. So all the things I get done are by myself.
Okay.
And all the things you get done are with people because you like are almost never alone. So that's part of what your data is telling you.
But yeah, that's true.
I spend a lot of time not getting things done and feeling bad about it. It's like pretty constant. I work on it a lot. It's still a thing though.
All right.
It's cool to hear that from the outside I look like I get anything done. But
yeah.
One thing I get a lot of done is watching TV.
Watching TV is fun.
I really like it.
I'm so happy you're liking that way.
Oh my gosh, it's so interesting. It's like a fascinating mystery, and it's got like philosophical, and I think it's well acted, and it's not. Yeah, none of it is like annoying me. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. I forget. Have you watched The Expanse yet?
No, that's too boring. While I'm sleepy,
right. I forgot season 1 starts slow for some people.
Yeah.
It picks up, but
I believe it.
It might be hard to get to that.
It might be a show when I have 22 hours of being actively awake.
Yeah. Which, like, I mean, you're gonna stay in my house for like 2.5 weeks, so that might be enough time to binge all of it.
Or at least get past the first season.
Yeah, I hope so. There's other shows I can think of that might be interesting to you that are smaller and more digestible and have like more interesting season 1s. Like, have you seen Altered Carbon? That's a pretty cool sort of hard-boiled future sci-fi. Like, what's going on? How did their bodies work? Yeah, it's great. Okay. Yeah, and season 1 is good, and season 2 is like optional. So we can whip that out. Cool. What did I say?
I want to watch. Oh my god. American Gods too.
Oh, the show?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I read that book last year, so I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be okay. Yep. I like that you said, cause like, I don't want to just order you to not go to sleep. You know what I mean? Like, if you told me, like, Clara, go away, I'm actually quitting, and I'm gonna go to sleep now.
Yeah.
Which you have said jokingly in less words, but but if you said that, I'd be like, okay, that's a bummer, but like, you're a grown up and.
Well, we agreed to not let each other do that.
Yeah, but like, if you said that, it'd be hard for me to not believe you. But that's why I asked, like, Benzie, are you quitting? Like, who's your kill switch, right? Because in the book it recommended having like an external kill switch. Yeah. Someone other than you in your like impaired state who will decide when it's time to pull the plug. And so, yeah, I at the very least am not going to be easy to convince that you agree with yourself that you want to quit. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I think you'll be disappointed if you quit. But
what was the point of that?
That's a good question. I don't remember.
I feel like it started somewhere.
I asked you. Oh, I was bringing up the fact that when I asked you before we filmed this, like who your kill switch was, you were like, I guess Devin, but he's more like a fake kill switch because I don't actually want him to have the power to end the experiment, which kind of makes me your kill switch in that case because like if for example like 2 weeks go by and you're still having like bad sleep deprivation, then I will probably cancel you.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to be in a dangerous state of myself anyway.
Yeah. But just for the record, you do have a real kill switch. Yeah.
And Devin is a real kill switch too.
Okay. Like you told me he was fake. So.
I just
I believe every so literal. God.
Yeah, by fake I meant like it would just have to be so extreme for that to happen.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we figured out how to stay awake.
For now.
Guys, life is hard, and not that hard for me, admittedly. I feel so stupid.
I can't wait to watch this later with you.
Oh my god, what am I trying to say? It's way harder in the daytime. I think I do it better at the nighttime and you do it better at the daytime.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think some of my daytime, like segments have been difficult. I think, and some of my nighttime segments have been, like I feel like I've had a mixture, but
I felt like I felt great all night, and then as soon as the sun was up and I started taking naps,
yeah,
I've been getting declining.
yeah. You were saying that you have a harder time napping in the daytime, where I feel like I feel no difference.
Yeah.
Like the main difference is, did I just amp myself up? Like my hard time napping in the last 24 hours was right after talking to Bara, because I was telling him all about like things I was noticing about falling asleep, and then I went in and it was like, okay, now all those things I know, and it was so it was harder to like make my mind blank because I had just talked. It was like the meta conversation was fresh in my mind, and that was too distracting.
Yeah.
But yeah, actual times of day has not, I don't think, affected how my naps have gone.
Yeah.
Which I think is because I went through like a complete sleep reversal in the like month or two prior to doing this.
Yeah. Which I have been sleeping different, but whatever. Oh well. That's just it. It is how it is. I guess I still been falling asleep when it's dark, like at like 4 in the morning, or when I was staying up and not going to bed till like 8 in the morning. I was so tired that it didn't matter. I was gonna fall asleep.
Yeah, there's kind of a different flavor to it when you're like going to sleep at 11 a.m. because it's just time to go to bed, and you woke up at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. the day before, and the day before that, and the day before that.
Yeah.
And it just sort of like gradually shifts. So you're not even like staying up too late anymore.
Yeah, it's just like
you're just
when
like
you're sleepy.
Yeah, I mean, and it was weird because it actually gave me like a week, maybe less than a week, of going to sleep at like 9 p.m. like a grandma, and waking up at like 6 a.m. without an alarm clock, which I just never thought I would be able to do.
You're such a cute grandma.
Thank you. Yeah. But yeah, sleep is it's a whole weird thing, and we're really
sleep is a many splendid thing. All you need is sleep.
Okay, that's an idea for a game.
Moulin Rouge.
Songs with words that can be replaced with sleep.
But Moulin Rouge is a musical that I know all the words to. That I would totally be
okay,
watching.
Good call. Yeah, some good crying. Wonderful.
Yeah, we got this. Did you turn the plant light on?
Nope. That's been on for a while.
Maybe I should turn it off if it was on all night. What do plants need?
I heard a rumor
That's what plants crave.
I heard a rumor that all you need is sleep, so maybe you should turn the lights off for those things.
I heard a rumor.
Was there anything?
Okay,
more?
This video is over. Just to be clear. Alright, so we are in the fourth wake of the third day. Today's been... the third and fourth day are supposed to be the hardest. I feel like today's been very hard. I have like... is it called microslept? Is that what?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like fallen asleep for seconds multiple times today. I also feel like very angry today. And don't like even have a place to direct it, but I just feel anger inside me. So yeah, I don't know what to do with that. But we're back at Clara's house, And it does feel kind of good. My house is a little overwhelming with stuff I should do, and I feel like Clara's house to me is a little bit more of like, well, if I lived here, it would also be filled with the same thing. You know, it's just like a release of obligation. So, I can just do like a little bit more leisurely activities, I think. So,
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. I definitely am. Maybe I was going through the anger stage of grief over all the stuff that I expected to get done at my house. Yeah.
That's real. I feel pretty good, actually. Yeah, waking up from my last nap, I was pretty exhausted, but having that argument with Devin was pretty energizing for me. And it was nice to like redirect. I think some of your anger, I was like arguing at it, which is stimulating to me, but I don't think it was pleasant to you. And so I was glad that Devin was there, so I could just sort of redirect it instead of like stem the flow, which is more difficult for me to do. I think. Yeah, and I pretty much once we started packing up, it was like I kind of feel okay. Yeah, so I'm not super sleepy right now. I mean, I'm sleepy. I'm definitely always sleepy.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like at risk of falling asleep. Yeah.
And that was especially hard in the car because cars are really soothing.
Yeah.
I actually like fall asleep on short car drives all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, and there was like my phone was not enough stimulation. Yeah, it just wasn't. So
that's definitely something I've been noticing. Like when I am in a state where I might fall asleep, like especially in the half hour when you are napping and my nap is about to happen, that's like the most dangerous zone for me because I have to like keep myself awake completely. And I've found that like reading on my phone is just not enough.
Yeah.
And so the game I have that's like it's like a speed game. Like if you're not fast enough, you'll lose, and like numbers come up from the bottom, and you have to like combine numbers, and it's just like it's just a game. And when I'm awake and normal, I'm good at it enough to like kind of play it forever. Like I never will lose. I can always keep it reaches the fastest speed of adding numbers, and I can always play it. But being sleepy while playing it is definitely hard mode, and it's enough that I will like I think I'll have moments where I'm like zoned out or my eyes might close, and then I'll remember I'm playing a game that I might lose, and so it wakes me back up, and I'm like, and I've got to like catch up, and it just feels like urgent enough. Whereas like browsing Reddit or Facebook or whatever, like I was trying to read about how the Hebrews never lived in Egypt and weren't slaves.
Oh my gosh.
I was reading about that, and I was trying to read about that when you were napping, and I was like, it's very interesting, and I read it later when I was more awake, but it was not, it's just not enough. So I have to be really, like, particular about how I use my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one game I've been playing
called... The cookies?
No.
The loop one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the cookie one is not stimulating.
I just see you doing it, and I have lots of curiosity around the cookie game. I, like, still have no idea what the game mechanics are at all.
Yeah, but in a car specifically, like, I get pretty, like, I can't read or anything in a car. Same. Like, I get nauseous. So.
No, not same, I guess.
So, Miguel.
Miggy, you can just move him with your foot.
Well, no, because he's gonna bite me. Miggy. He doesn't like me because I wouldn't let him put his butthole in my face for like 5 whole minutes.
He'll like you in 5 more minutes. And I'll teach you how to move him with your foot without getting attacked. There's a method.
When we had that shared Slack, didn't you watch that video that I posted that I made when I was made like 5 years ago about how Hebrews weren't slaves in Egypt?
Yes. And then I forgot it. And then when we watched Prince of Egypt today, it was like, oh yeah, how mythological is this? And so then I Googled it and found a page that was like, I don't know, it was like academically written. I think it was written by a Jewish person who was like a historian, which made it like
That's probably one of the ones I read too.
Yeah, well, and I think it, like, your video had, like, a level of snark to it, because you're like, checkmate, religious people, like, all your books are lies. Yeah. Whereas this was, like, I think a Jewish person saying, like, here's some historical analysis of these things that are important to us, which was, like, interesting too.
Yeah, and if we're talking about the same one, which is possible, it said something like, it's important for Jewish people to, like, not be attached to this idea because it's not real and it's just, like, causing, like, racism in those areas and stuff of something that just didn't even happen.
Yeah, so. I found it interesting. Well, I mean, not to make the video about Jews living in Egypt, but it talked about how, like, the Israelites were, or I may be using I used Hebrews and Jews and Israelites, and I don't know if there are distinctions that I'm not knowledgeable about. But in any event, that group of people, they weren't slaves in Egypt, but they were to some degree, like, indentured into servitude outside of Egypt, as were many other populations for, like, certain periods of farming land that, like, ruling classes didn't want to do the work themselves on. Yeah. So that happened, but the article said something along the lines of, like, Miguel is such a weirdo. He's a really weird
What
cat.
is he even doing? It's like he's cleaning the floor.
Yeah, I think there's, like, so when they're in the sandbox, they're supposed to they have, like, an instinct to cover their like, excretions with sand.
Yeah.
Or with the litter, I guess, but he doesn't really do that. He'll, like, poop in the litter box and leave it there uncovered, and then he'll leave the litter box and he'll scratch something else. So I think it's just, like, a misplaced instinct or something. He mostly goes outside. So.
What a little weirdo.
He is a weird cat. Yeah. But to talk about ancient history again. No, I was talking about how, like, part of there's their guess at part of the reason for the story being presented this way was because God releasing them from slavery was, like, a big argument in favor of worshiping only one God, and have no gods before me was, like, a big part of Judaism, which wasn't really part of many other religions. Like, lots of people could, like, pray to lots of different gods, and it, like, wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
So the one God thing was a big deal, but then also the, like, sort of separateness of that group, that they, like, that they were not from Canaan, I think, was, like, important philosophically, even if it wasn't actually true. Like, they were just an ethnic group from Canaan, from that area, and but having, like, an imagined history of, like, an exodus, I guess, was, like, I don't know, philosophically or religiously, like, useful for, like, for some
control reason, probably.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I was still sleepy when I read the book, article.
And I read it years ago, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and, yeah, so those are my feelings. Also, I'm realizing now, I don't think I've, like, eaten in a really long time.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm hangry.
Maybe you're hangry.
Maybe I'm not sleep angry, I'm just hangry.
Slangry versus hangry. Okay, and every time I've suggested, like, do you want a snack? And you're like, no, I don't feel like eating.
Yeah.
And, like, and I've also, like, mostly offered you vegetables that you don't
stop, but we determined maybe I'm hangry and not sleepy angry. Yeah. And so I'm gonna set a steak out so I can cook it when my nap's over.
Maybe that's why my attitude is so good, because I've been snacking almost constantly.
That's funny. That would do it. Yeah, so I guess this is a very short fixer because the last video cut off, but that's the thing. We will be back later. Alright, so we are on day 3, cycle 5, so only one more cycle left in the day. I'm feeling good. Turns out eating, it works.
Yeah, don't forget that anymore.
Haven't been making any mean jokes at Clara.
It's been nice.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
And Claire has a friend who we're gonna get to talk to about their successful Uberman transition, which I'm excited about, especially because there's like not really a lot of content about the Uberman sleep schedule online, especially people who are actively doing it. And I know from successfully doing it in the past that it does exist. It's not like mythical.
Yeah.
It's just really hard. But even like the third and fourth day are supposed to be the hardest days, and yeah, I was tired and grumpy earlier, but I feel really good now, and I'm tired and grumpy like all the time on monophasic sleep.
Some regular life, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have been more tired than I normally am. Like, I don't want to like make it sound like there's nothing happening here, but also this is the beginning. This is supposed to be the bad part.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have words?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I definitely like don't want to say anything without a grain of salt, like expectations for how this will go, because I'm fully aware that like tomorrow might be 10 times
So
harder than
horrible.
this. Like who knows?
Yeah.
And there was like I mean I still think of it really fondly, not to like bring up these adorable moments over and over again, but like I think of it really fondly on day 2, or when you were like, I think I am done. I think I've adapted, and then like I think it was the next like waking cycle where you were like a blob. You were like a puddle of a person. It was really funny, and I mean it was funny but also sad because you seemed really disappointed. So I'm like I'm trying to keep my mind straight so that like whatever happens I'm not going to be disappointed, because mostly for me like I'm really open to this being extremely challenging, and I'm open to learning whatever I can from it, rather than just like viewing it as like I need it to go a certain way. I don't know. That's how I'm sort of approaching it.
Well, and one of the reasons we wanted to do this together is because it's supposed to be hard. It's like a bonding experience for us to do it together.
Yeah, I feel like doing challenging things is really valuable in my life, and I get like a lot of just positive feelings about myself for doing challenging things, and so that was part of the appeal of trying the Uberman schedule instead of one of the easier to succeed at schedules.
Yeah.
I like want to see if I can do it. Maybe I can't, but like I'll be excited to learn that.
And also, like, there are benefits even if you don't completely do it.
Definitely.
Like, just learning to sleep faster. Even, like, you were talking about earlier, like, your mini meditations before each nap, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah.
And, one thing that, like, came to my mind when you said I was a blob for that, like, cycle is when I'm sleeping, I'm, like, literally a blob.
Like, what are you really losing even if you did Uberman and one of your waking cycles was a wash and you just couldn't do anything except for just force yourself to stay awake, you're still having like a net gain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
Because even if what I watch is like one episode of a TV show, like, yeah. Or if I just walk around moping around my house, like, okay.
Yeah, well, and I just like refuse to view any day of my life as a waste.
Yeah.
I mean, I refuse in like a after the fact. I'm trying to refuse, like, because sometimes those thoughts happen. But yeah, I feel like there's like a unhealthy focus on productivity in our culture, and like it's really steeped in capitalism, and it's like not something I want to. I don't want that to be the factor that allows me to decide how I feel about myself. Yeah, so like even if I successfully do this sleep schedule for some period of time and don't get any more stuff done, that's still going to be interesting and valuable to me. So
yeah, and it's important to me to specifically like keep myself accountable that I'm not doing this schedule to be the most productive human possible. You know, like, because that sounds miserable no matter how many hours you are awake or sleeping.
I've been joking with people that the only reason I'm doing it is so I can watch more TV. But what will probably happen, I think what will happen is I'll watch the same amount of TV, which takes up a lot of my time, at least during the pandemic. I watch a lot of TV during the pandemic. But I think what will happen is I'll watch the same amount of TV and then have additional time to do like really healthy, functional activities. Hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah. So, fuck yeah. We won.
You are still so sleepy. It's really funny.
Okay, fine. But I just feel really good.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I know I'm gonna go sleep in an hour and a half, and I might wake up and be like, how do I human? You know, like, that's happened.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I really have enjoyed, we've probably said this already in a different, because you make me film it every 3 hours, but I'm enjoying,
you.
I mean, right, you invite me and I always say yes, but I've been enjoying that our hard times have alternated.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That, like, I mean, have we had I think we've had sometimes, I guess right now is one where we both feel pretty fine, but, like, the waking cycles where I was, like, really miserable and struggling, you were fine, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And that's been useful.
Yeah, super useful.
Yeah. If we have one where we're both miserable, I'll be interested to see how that goes.
Yeah.
Now I kind of hope it happens so we can find out.
Well, also,
if we can manage
I think I'm going to, like, understand that the sleep cycle might be making me miserable because I am going through sleep deprivation. But I think I might also now, after experiencing how different my mood was just from eating, investigate what other things might be making me feel bad.
Yeah, because there might be things where that margin exists in your monophasic sleep life, but you don't have to fine tune those margins because the monophasic sleep, like, is sort of overkill in another way.
Yeah.
And so here we're tightening the margin on sleep and what sleep will do for your mood and energy and all of that stuff. But that means that you might need to, like, pay better attention to the other sort of margins of activities and health and stuff.
Yeah, because I'm also thinking a couple cycles ago when we were back at my house, when I got up from my nap and I sat on the couch and I was like, I'm so tired and miserable. And then when I got up and started sanding stuff, I felt really good.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know? And then sitting back in the car again, I was like, oh God, I'm dying. I'm falling asleep.
You fell asleep like 3 times in the car ride.
Yeah. And to be clear, falling asleep was like for like 10 seconds or less.
Yeah.
But yeah, so maybe sometimes it's like, oh, could I move my body? Could I eat something? Like, I feel like maybe I need, instead of my 100-item long list of, like, things to produce, I actually need a little checklist that's like, water, food, move, you know, like.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me, there's like I think it's like a Zen Buddhist saying, and it's just chop wood, carry water. And to me, that's like, just go back to the basics. Like,
survival, pleasure.
Do you have? Yeah. That isn't as funny. Like, maybe we should explain why that's funny, but that's like a really long story.
We don't have to.
But chop wood, carry water. Like, can you make a fire? Do you have water?
Yeah.
And that's like pretty.
One more cycle.
Wahoo.